People wanted this to be reviewed. People say this is honestly one of the most well-known and acclaimed anime series. And everybody, for the most part I've heard of, loves this show. So, by popular demand, and just because I needed to get through it so we can move on from this, and I can be completely done with this series, I am going to review Clannad, the first season and the second season. So, Clannad and Clannad After Story. So, let's get into it. So, yo, what's up, guys? Insane Gamefreak here. Let's jump into Clannad. Like, really. Let me just give you a little backstory for this. A lot of people saw my Angel Beats review and was like, "Oh, Terrell, if you love the Angel Beats, you should totally check out Clannad." And for those who don't know, I really do enjoy Angel Beats. You can go watch the entire series on Crunchyroll. Just a little throwing out plug. It's just sub only, but still, the fact that it's on there is awesome. As I said, I really enjoyed Angel Beats, so I figured, let's pick up Clannad. And I picked up the first season in May, and I watched it all in May, and then I took a break for 2 or 3 months, and then I went back into it near the middle of July to the beginning of August, which is why the review is coming out this late. And there are a few reasons for that, but you'll probably guess the reasons as we go into the review. So with all that out of the way, let's just get started. One last warning, this is not going to be a gushing video, so if you are not really a fan of negative criticism towards this series, might want to walk away. Anyways, let's get into it. So Clannad's story is about and here's the first problem. Clannad's main story is supposedly about these two characters, Tomoya Okazaki and Nagisa Furukawa, who, through fate, quote unquote, end up talking and meeting, and you're kind of watching their relationship develop. Now, Tomoya is a supposedly delinquent. He skips class. He has this very uncaring attitude. He's supposed to be this troubled kid. Nagisa, on the other hand, is this very shy, timid, low confidence girl who's very sickly. Nagisa is actually a year older than Tomoya because it was due to her health that she missed too many days in school and she got kept back, which is why they're in the same grade now. Now, here's the first problem I have is the fact that they mention that Tomoya is supposedly a delinquent, even though the anime shows nothing really to support that. He's supposed to be this uncaring kid who just kind of goes through life, even though within the first episode, he's the one who initiates the conversation with Nagisa. If he's supposed to be the troubled kid, why would a troubled kid intentionally initiate a conversation with Nagisa? Also, the only part of him that's quote-unquote troubled is his bad relationship with his dad, which I'm going to say right now, Clannad has that painful when they cry effect. Now, personally, I didn't mind it in When They Cry, or Higurashi, as it's known in Japanese, and the effect I'm referring to is that the first season isn't going to fully make sense unless you watch the second season. Clannad has kind of a similar effect. It's not as ridiculous, but let's put it this way. If you want any satisfaction in all the little side things with Clannad, you got to watch out the story so they justify it. I didn't find it annoying in Higurashi. I found it annoying in Clannad. And what I'm particularly referring to is the development of certain characters and the justification for certain issues that are brought up in the first season. And just to mention some side characters, because they're kind of important to the story, because for those who don't know, like I didn't know when I first started Clannad is based on a dating sim, which explains why Clannad is this distinct anime that has a whole bunch of random side stories and even extra episodes dedicated to these other characters and their relationships with the main character. Honestly, Clannad, you could kind of argue, is a mini harem in itself because of how, this girl's relationship and this girl's relationship and this girl's relationship. The side characters are as follows. The only other male character is Sonohara, which is Tomoya's best friend, who is a fellow delinquent, quote-unquote, even though Sonohara seems a little bit more justified. Then you have the twin sisters, Kyo and Ro. You have the genius girl who has horrible social skills, Katomi. Little girl named Fuko. Tomboyish character, Tomoyo. And I believe that's it. I don't think I'm missing anyone. No, those are like the main girls. And it's not like it's a harem, because it's not a harem. It gives off a harem vibe, and that's the first thing and that kind of goes into the real annoying issue with Clannad. Clannad doesn't know what genre it wants to be, the first season at least, where it's all over the place, because it has all these side stories that deal with each one of these characters. Not even each one of these characters. The first season only really touches on Fuko and Katomi, and then everything else is like Tomoya and Nagisa related. But it's split out so unevenly, it mixed with the little splash of harem at the end of Katomi's story, that it's like, okay, serious relationship, drama, harem, romance. Like, it's like, where are you going? Stick with something and roll with it. Like, I think the first season has really bad pacing, and there are going to be a lot of things that inherently bother you about the first season. For example, Fuko's entire story bothered me when I first finished the first season and didn't watch the second season, because it didn't make any sense in context with the story, especially because it has a Pokemon, the first movie, ending at the end of her little arc. And it's like, what? Now, the thing about Clannad a lot of people like, and people should, and I wish people had told me this, after story it's like amazing. I'm not even going to argue that. I think the first season is okay, borderline mediocre, whereas the second season is really, really good. And the reason why the second season is really, really good is because the second season touches on a lot of real world issues that you can easily relate to, especially if you're someone coming out of your teens into your adulthood, because that's really what the second season focuses on. You don't really see as much of the side characters except for the beginning of the second season. Everything else is really mainly focused on Tomoya and Nagisa. Like by the first season, there are a couple. By the second season, not gonna spoil, but yeah. Now, Clannad is also known to be a very emotional series, and I can see in both seasons. There are a lot of emotional moments and things that can touch you. For me personally, I wasn't as touched by the first season because, as I said, it had like really weird pacing. It was all over the place. And that, I think part of that comes from just not knowing anything about the story. Hopefully this review doesn't mess you up, because the first season is kind of all over the place. There are things that don't make sense. It's like, why did you put this here? Why is this here? And and some of the girls aren't even developed. Like Kyo and Ro are barely developed. Tomoyo to a degree, but not like insane. I don't know. It's like the second season connects with a person on a real world level so well that people want to forgive the first season because of it. And I could forgive it kinda, but not completely, because the first season almost made me not watch the second season. And when the first season does that to a person, the first season has some inherent problems that cannot just be completely erased because the second season's so good. And I'm not arguing with you. The second season is really, really good. Like, honestly, if I thought they could... I'm betting the movie version of this. I have to watch the Clannad movie, but I'm betting the movie version of this series is a lot better than the two seasons. Like, I think the movie's probably would have done this, probably did this great. But for me, the first season really got on my nerves because it didn't know what it was doing. But the second season was so good. Like, I got really reconnected with certain characters, because for me, in the first season, they really developed characters on Nagisa. Tomoya to an extent, but not really, because as I said, we're supposed to buy that this character is a delinquent, but he never really shows that. The only thing we ever see him do is be kind of a douchebag, and he kind of messes over Sonohara a lot. And he skipped class occasionally. Clannad's strong point is emotional connection. I think there are things about Clannad that are really, really good. I think the second season really shows how well it can do realism and emotional connection, and how much it can pull on your heartstrings. Even the first season has good signs of that with like certain arcs. Also, the OST helps immensely. I think Clannad has like some of the best like environmental OSTs. It's ridiculous. Like Clannad, like the first season really had it, where it was like, it had this like, it's like a soothing music, but it's like mildly depressing. Like, I'll put it on levels of Elfen Lied in terms of its music, and like where it gets you exactly in the mood you need to be in to watch it. The first season was just all over the place. I even like how this. And the funny thing about the second season is the beginning of the second season does do a few more side stories, like going into Sonohara's and Misai's, which is the dorm woman, and I forget her name. She's a minor character, but she gets her own little arc in the second season. She's the lady that runs like the fake library. You'll see what I mean when you watch the show. She gets her own little arc. I thought like almost all those side arcs were really good, and mind you, so were the arcs in the first season. Like Fugo's stuff is decent. It's just that Fugo's stuff has like a Pokemon in the first movie ending, and it really got on my nerves because then it made me wonder, why did we waste like 6 or 5 episodes on this? And that's what you get. You'll get the reason why in After Story. So overall, Clannad is not a bad series. I think Clannad deserves part of its hype in the sense of After Story is really good. Like that needs to be said. The only thing about After Story I can't stand is Sonohara's quote unquote development, because it's not a full development. I'm sorry. I don't view what they did for Sonohara as a full development. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's a spoiler, but see for yourself, you'll see what I mean. But in terms of like everything else I enjoyed, Tomoya really grew on me as a character. They fixed a lot of issues with the first season. The main ones being why did Fuko's part didn't make sense? What is the true issue with Tomoya's dad? Because it's addressed in the first season, but it's not fully explored. And also, speaking of parents, I guess I should mention them. Nagisa's parents. I actually forget their names. Sanai and Okita, I believe, is his name. I mean, most people, I keep hearing him. He's called Old Man in English dub half the time, so I never really... No, Akita, I think it is what it is. Those two, straight hilarity. Straight hilarity. Both seasons, love those characters. Those can honestly be probably within my top character list. Like, for Clannad, great. Just awesome. Like, I love those characters. I didn't want to address them too much because there's a lot of them, and they're both developed really well, and that's what I loved. I love their like, because I don't want to spoil it, but they're very important to the story, and I love those characters. Like I can gush over Nagisa's parents, and Nagisa herself is well developed in her own right. Tomoya gets his development in After Story, but the Furukawas, oh my god. I love Nagisa's family. They're like literally my favorite part within the first season. And I guess to address the harem thing, you're gonna see a lot of extra episodes too, like at the end of the first and second season, where there's a lot of alternate realities. Where I guess if you were a shipping fan, or if you're the fan of like harems or multiple relationships in an anime, and always wish you could see all sides of, all different pairings. For the most part, Clannad fulfills that curiosity, skipping a few of them. Because there's like a what if scenario with Tomoyo, there's a what if scenario with Kyo and Ro, and I think there's a what if scenario with, technically you could say there's a what if scenario with Katomi, kinda. It depends on how much you want to buy. Also, I thought Fuko is pretty funny. I think her plot relationship was kind of annoying, but her as a character is pretty funny. So overall, Clannad is a pretty, I say it was a good series. I'm not going to say it's amazing, because the first season really got on my nerves for a lot of different reasons. I thought the pacing was really bad. The anime did not know what it wanted to do. And there were a lot of things in the first season that just weren't inherently answered. And for certain shows that works, like for When They Cry, it didn't bother me. For Clannad, it didn't inherently bother me. But overall, I still view Clannad as a whole. Season 1 and Season 2 is an overall good story. Obviously, I like Season 2 more, but it's still pretty solid. And I think Season 2 in itself is enough to want to go check it out. And maybe it was just me, because I know a lot of people love this show, and no one seems to have a problem with Season 1. Me personally, I had a lot of problems. See for yourself, but that's just my opinion. So, that's really it for this review. This has been the Insane Gamefreak. Lots of gameplay to win. If you want to buy Clannad, I will leave the links to buy it on Right Stuff. the first and second season. I'm probably just gonna leave the DVD ones because the Blu-rays are high, and I don't know everyone wants to pay for a Blu-ray. I think this is streamed on the Anime Network, so I'll probably leave a link for that too. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for the support. And let's move on because personally, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about Clannad anymore. I might get a lot of hate for this video, but I had to give my honest opinion. So, anyways, let's gameplay to win, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.